All right, welcome back to the Dr. G Show. Holy crap, we figured it out. So Facebook does not allow you to do split screen anymore as of November 2019. I think it was anticipation of the plague, but, you know, that's just another conspiracy theory. So today, we, luckily,
Facebook.
Luckily Scott joined us live in the studio.
Well, hello, Tim and Misty.
It should all be fine.
Yep, we're good. Hey, good to see you, Doc.
Oh, just a minute.
Oh, yeah, right. Good idea. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we want to make sure. Good.
It's been
Keeping
very
us
wonderful
safe.
to meet you.
We're doing some social proximizing.
Now I'm touching this again after I touched you
Oh,
to re-sterilize, but now the bottle is contaminated.
Right. Well, here,
So
let me
then
put
I
some
gotta-
of this on your bottle for you.
So then we got to do that.
Hey,
to
maybe
the
you can
bottle.
hit my bottle up a little bit.
So
Thanks,
now your
man.
bottle's all.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
we're gonna be careful here.
There we go.
All right.
So,
well,
I really thought these gloves would be ribbed for. Oh, look, they are. Look at that. See.
okay.
All right. Oh my God.
Oh,
These are
yeah.
lady gloves. I have to take mine off because mine are lady gloves because
These are killing me too.
Sherry's
and,
the only one that wears gloves in the office.
We want people to take us seriously.
All right. You are not going to get those off.
Oh my gosh, I got one off.
All right.
Whew, that
So-
was quite a chore.
Speaking specifically on taking us seriously, we're going to
seriously?
sing the new theme song to a different show. But we're going to change it. Since Scott's our guest, we're going to change the last word in it.
What, from Marty to Scott?
Marty Scott.
Okay.
You know,
Marty
so that
will
way
be
you
the
feel like it
superstar
was
later.
written about you, right?
I will feel that way.
So this is
Thank you, Holly.
the episode 169 of the Dr. G Show.
All right.
And thank you guys for joining us. And please
Yes.
post your questions and comments.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk a little bit different because usually I'm talking about kind of like quelling you guys down about panicking and hysteria about statistics. But instead, we're going to just say, all right, without hearing any of that stuff, any counterpoints to this, you guys are constantly watching stuff that is just fear, hysteria, angst. You have your kids at home. You have your spouse at home. One of the patients I was over at Dr. Moore's getting adjusted yesterday. And a patient came in and he was like, hey, how are you enjoying the quarantine? She's like, my husband is there the whole time. He needs to leave. He just keeps talking to me. I'm trying to work. I just need some quiet. And so, you know, we all have this kind of thing we have to deal with the quarantine.
Sure.
So we want to say, how do we survive this? It says you said hi on there.
Yep, I
But
did.
you're here.
Weird.
What's going on? Is this the... Is there a glitch?
Was there a glitch? I feel deja vu.
So last time we talked, on the last show, we talked about research funding, helping support that with the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society with the ever so lovely Jessie Griffith at the Hudson, which, holy crap, they're quarantined too, so, you know, that's the whole thing. And then we have more live shows coming on, but also, since I had 28 lectures that were canceled due to the coronavirus, I figured out, finally, I spent all day Saturday here at the office figuring out how to make all the software work just for you guys, okay? So go to the YouTube channel for Dr. G Show, and I'm going to post all those there. So we already have the cholesterol one up, but I'll just be doing those instead of at OptiLife and Natural Grocers and other churches. We'll just do it live, or not live, but record, and I'll put it on there for you guys. So.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll have a regular Dr. G Show live also, and we'll have some little kind of sporadic ones to kind of help, I don't know, keep you guys entertained, I guess. All right, so today we're going to talk about updates, less about updates on the coronavirus, but more about surviving and thriving. And then also, you guys probably have heard, I posted a thing that Marty Spencer, do you know her?
I know Marty. We go way back. She's fabulous.
I know, like meeting Marty, I'm like, she
team
obviously would know Scott, right?
Or I would obviously know her. I mean,
Right.
she's pretty cool. Done some cool stuff with Songbird and kind of a nice light in our community, doing some good things to help people live healthy lives. And
Yeah. So she wanted to get together with me to create a podcast series. And so we had a really good one, like fit Fit and Fabulous by Summer or something like that. But because of the plague, we renamed it to Still Live by Summer.
Cool.
And it's going to be a 5-part like intro series, so like a crash course one. And we're going to do recordings Monday on it, and then I'll edit those and put them up. But we needed a theme song. So my friend, Holly Hajajanana, who sometimes co-hosts the Dr. G show, I'm Dr. G and the boss, right? So she's the boss. And she's the corporate director at the YMCA, but they're closed down, so she has a little time on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
So she was so delightful and so happy to use her incredible talent to create a theme song for the Songbird podcast that we're doing. And I love it. So it's supposed to be a little sing-along, and I put on my Facebook that you guys need to do your own little recording, so like a challenge, and then we'll pick a winner. And we got to figure out what we're going to do for the winner, right? But at least you'll have some fun.
Involved. Yeah.
So I did one, and I sing horribly. I have really talents, but I cannot play instruments, and I cannot sing.
Figaro.
You're like a baritone, aren't you?
Figaro.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think I'm a baritone. I'm probably more of a, I don't know what, a tenor maybe? I'm more of a tenor?
I'm a scaritone.
You are. Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. We'll do our best here, but.
All right.
So.
All right, so we're going to play Holly singing that's on the YouTube channel. And
Mariah, what's on the paper are song lyrics.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to hit record for the Camtasia thing.
Oh, well, you better start now.
We won't do that then. I'll pull it from Facebook then.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're going to play Holly singing, and we're going to sing along. I need this one here.
Okay.
Ready?
Are we ready? Figaro.
You guys sing along at home.
Me.
All right. We're going to embarrass ourselves. Mariah, after this, you might want to break up with him.
Don't leave me, honey.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Black Death
is almost here. The sunshine's almost gone. Hysterics all around and coughing through the town. Working at home right now. Your children in the room. Becoming penniless. Financial crushing doom.
Your
Cat might
Eat your carcass, yes, but you won't have a clue.
So what?
You'll spare
Yourself the pain of being alive.
Here to quell
Your fears, because it's almost gone. In this one, we're in Scott and Dr. G. We'll help you where you're wrong. Thanks, Virtual Holly.
Crap.
Woo, we should start a band.
All right, that
Acapella.
was Holly Hajaj. Oh my gosh. So she composed the everything on that.
Man, wow.
So that was horrible. I would say that was
only the audience can judge. We're being vulnerable with the public.
Yes.
So you know what? We have a thick skin. We can take it.
That's right.
So yeah.
So go to the Dr. G Show YouTube channel. So it's youtube.com/c/the DRG show.
Yeah.
So from there, you'll see Holly's, and you can play that and then record on your phone and upload it to our Facebook. So I can't wait to hear you guys sing, right? I'm pretty sure they sing way better.
Probably all of them sing better. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
So thank you, Holly.
Right.
And then today, our guest is Scott Spradlin again.
Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've been on the Dr. G Show. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, and you have a show too. Plug your show.
Well, I have a pop-up show presently, just called DBT Live. I'll be doing some little pop-up videos through my professional page, Scott Spradlin, Wise Mind, Wise Life, and it's just going to be little 40-minute pop-ups, not really scheduled because we all have more time now.
Yeah.
So as a professional counselor, addictions counselor, I'm using some of my time to give folks tips on how do you use things like mindfulness and emotion regulation, distress tolerance skills, and how can you still work on being a wise person in a time where we're really tempted to be a little crazy. Yeah, really freaked out.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm doing. Plus, we'll be reviving a show. Mariah and I do a ADHD live, so we're looking at bringing that back in the fall. And so she's also a clinical social worker and my fiance. Yes, I have one of those.
Congratulations. by the way.
Until I sang on the internet.
Yeah, she's gonna leave you for sure.
For sure. I'm worried about. I gotta go. Okay. Have a good show, everybody. Just kidding.
I'll tell you what though. Like every guy I know, his girlfriend always hated me because it was always just like we were always doing shenanigans and goofing off, and they were like, "You gotta spend less time around Patrick." So that's what's gonna happen.
Maybe I might get grounded from you.
You're gonna get grounded
from
Patrick.
She's a fan of yours, so I think it'll be okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And you have a clinical practice, right? What do you do?
Yeah, right. So
you're not just some guy that looks like a guru.
Wow.
You actually have a practice where you help people, right?
Compliments. Yeah, I do. I have an office with House of Clarity. All of it's. I'm doing all telehealth right now, so everything's being done by the web. So I'm really grateful for that technology because of the COVID-19 virus and trying to reduce exposures and risk for certain people. But House of Clarity, and I specialize in mindfulness-based psychotherapy. More specifically, dialectical behavior therapy, which is a big old mouthful.
Tell us about that, Mr. Science.
Okay, so there's so many
Dialectical.
places you could start there. Well, dialectics is really about acknowledging polarities in reality. So on the one hand this, one hand that. Often things that seem as contradictions that we face living in the tension between those things. So DBT really basically helps us to kind of live within and hold those polarities. And in some cases, they synthesize and we transcend that polarity. But then we face new polarities in relationships, in the way we regulate our emotions and how we understand ourselves in the world and all that stuff.
Mariah said, "Stop touching your face." Okay, so polarities, that's a good thing because again, like when we talk about like mass hysteria and adaptation theory, it's just like you keep hearing like we're all gonna die, but then you also have this other voice that says, you know what, it's gonna be rough, but it'll be okay. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about how to live within those two polarities.
Right.
Like how do you mentally cope and survive?
Yeah.
But then really, part of what me and Marty are doing, and we're going to have Scott on there too, but how do you really thrive from this? Like how do you take this as a building opportunity or growing opportunity from kind of where we were? Like everybody's just so like, I never have enough time to get anything done. I don't have time to think, and then all of a sudden we have too much time. But was that time filled with a bunch of fear, or is it filled with neuroplasticity and creating change within your brain? So this is always fascinating, and I love Scott so much because Scott he's my mentor when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I love there's very few people that can really talk way above me and confuse me. And Scott's very good at that. In fact, we're going to read something that I want to talk about, but I started just laughing hysterically because I was just like, there's some things you read, and like when I do epigenetic stuff, I'll read through stuff, and then you're just like, I need like, you're pulling like your advanced degree graduate stuff, like trying to figure out what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I have context and reference for that.
Right.
This other stuff, I have no reference points. It's not my vernaculum. It's not the way that I think. And so I just started laughing my ass off because I'm just like, I'm going to let Scott run with that because I have no idea.
Yeah.
So we read, one time we were in Seattle, Dr. D and me, and we were like, what's a fjord? And so I looked it up, and like the definition required you to look up 2 or 3 more definitions for the words that they used in the definition.
Yeah.
So it's pretty bad.
I feel that way sometimes about DBT. People are like, what is DBT? And I say, well, it's a subset of cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah, for those of us who are in the know, like, if we're in the helping professions, okay, we get it. But then for other people, like, okay, so it's cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right.
And so on and so forth. Dun, dun, dun. Huh. Something, okay, Russia, right? And now.
So you can see patients by Skype, Facebook, FaceTime?
I use a program presently called DoxyMe.
You have to do it for HIPAA, right? You have to use
well, it's interesting times because That'd be preferable. So it's a HIPAA and compliant and also secure program. I'll be doing a beta test for our DBT skills group on Tuesday to see, because we can bring in about 10 people with that format, about that secure and private channel. But presently, with Health and Human Services and the regional and federal government have relaxed a lot of the rules on telehealth and even privacy right now because of the great need.
Continuity of care.
Continuity of care. So they're even saying, like, if you got to do it by telephone, do it by telephone.
Yeah.
If you got to do it by chat, email, whatever, do that. Just still be careful. But if there's incidental privacy breaches, they're basically, these offices are going to hunt us down to prosecute.
Well, and the good thing is the KSBRB,
Kansas BSRB.
they're shut down right now, so you can do whatever the hell you want.
It's
Just
Bedlam.
start rattling off
Bedlam
patient names.
Yeah,
They
let me tell
can.
you about
This is your
Freddie Fruit Loop and Sally the Sausage. Yeah, no, those are my imaginary friends. Yeah, we still don't do that, but yeah. So that's been good. I mean, there's that. That's going to be really helpful to a lot of folks, and actually, it's been helpful to a few of my patients who haven't been able to come see me because they run into some kind of infection or health condition, or MRSA, things like that, and it's like, oh, can't come see you for therapy. Problem solved. Now we can see each other for therapy, so that's cool.
Yeah. And
I know.
That's a huge thing, because, I mean, they're already dealing with crisis and stuff, and then now you add this into it, and you're just like, yeah, this is going to be great. You're definitely going to need. This is where people might be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and like not go see the doctor, not go see the therapist. But okay, two things. A, this is probably more important time to do that. And B, like, I've asked my patients, like, do you want to come in or do you want to do it by telemedicine? And most of them have said, I want to come in. And you know why they want to come in? Because everybody's at home. They're just like sick and tired, and they gotta get out. So
sure, yeah.
So we're gonna we'll probably space the desk out a little bit more for the next week, but yeah.
So yeah.
So I want to talk about a few concepts, and probably this is going to be more of you guys asking questions about.
Please do.
Okay, so post your questions to me or Scott, but I want to talk about a concept and maybe drive it from there. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
All right.
I'm surprised. This looks like pretty good stuff. I mean, I'm not surprised you do quality. I'm surprised by this alloplastic Freudian business.
Last year.
Alloplastic Freudian business. There's the name of your new band.
I know.
Okay.
So last year, I went to the jungles. So I went to South America, and I went through 5 different mountains, underneath the mountains, through the waterway.
Mountains under the mountains?
Pitch black, just through the river, right?
Oh, okay.
So we followed the cave in the river through 4 different mountains with a horribly cheap, like Walmart headlamp. And so it was just like a horror movie by itself, but it was so beautiful. But then when we got to the 3rd cave, they had a beautiful waterfall inside the cave. So we climbed up the waterfall, and then they had a big, giant, deep pool that was like 100 feet. And he said, you can swim in that if you want. They don't know how deep it is. They don't know what's in it, but people sometimes swim in it.
Oh, man.
So then I was just like, yeah, all right, so I'm going to go swim in there. So I went and jumped in the middle, underneath a mountain, in the jungle, climbed up a waterfall, jumped into unknown waters, swam all the way across, right?
Wow, yeah.
So that was a lot easier than understanding this next quote, where I feel like I jumped into the deep end of an unknown depth for which I was not prepared.
You did. I just pulled up some extra resources in case we need to use jargon to define jargon for everybody.
Nice. Okay.
But we can also break it into some conversations, some questions about what does this have to do with us right now. And I've got some practiced remarks. Not prepared, but practiced. Okay, anyway.
Hey, Suzanne says hello.
Hey, Suzanne, what's up? Hi, Kelly, everybody else. Thanks for watching. Okay.
So there's 4 concepts we want to talk about. Homeostasis, allostasis.
Whoa.
Right?
Okay.
But then also autoplastic and alloplastic, which I like. So homeostasis is your ability to balance inside the, right?
Yeah.
So not but
well, you find some sense of relative balance.
Yeah.
Just like a thermostat that hits homeostasis. So when your central air, you set it for 70, and it drops down to 65. You know, it brings it back up to hit 70, and then it turns off.
Right.
It cools off, then it comes back. So but you're kind of moving in kind of a middle ground between extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything in your body that works the right way works off homeostasis and negative feedback loops. So think about like someone that goes out in the desert, right? The first thing that they do is they get too hot, and their body says, well, we need to cool the body or we'll die, so we sweat. So that's called homeostasis. The body responds and creates balance.
Yeah.
But if that person does not drink water, as you drink, then they will end up reaching a point to where they can no longer sweat to maintain homeostasis.
Ooh.
Then they go into what's called allostasis, and that's the pathology of all disease, right? Disease is not disease. Disease is a normal expected outcome from a lifestyle or diet or the way that we think, right? So we can create and undo this, right? So when you look at the desert scenario, the very first thing, they're going to get dementia, they're going to get all brain foggy, they're going to end up with coma, and then they'll die, right? But the cure to restore homeostasis in that scenario is drink some damn water, right? So that's homeostasis is balance, allostasis is imbalance. So then we have what's called neuroplasticity, right? Or I like the term adaptation theory. So I talk about that with all my patients. You know, I call it input theory, adaptation theory, which is why people have stranger danger, even though we're more safe than we are. That's why people believe there's more war now than there really is. That's why they believe terrorism is a greater threat than a toddler with your own handgun, right? So we have this really dystopia reality based on our inputs that then wire our brains differently for the output. And so then we end up kind of sucking in life, right?
Yeah.
But then we'd say, well, is that the reality? It's not. So this is interesting. So I tried to look this up so I could sound smart in front of Scott.
Yes, in front of me and in front of all of you viewers, which is more important to impress than Patrick.
That's right. So concepts of autoplastic adaptation was Sigmund Freud and a couple other guys. I didn't know either one of them, but so we'll go with Sigmund Freud because people know that. So there's two types. There's autoplastic, where basically you can control your internal environment, right? You change what's going on. With that means you have control, right? So that's going to be the stuff that we talk about today. But alloplastic adaptation is where you try to change the situation. And the two things you cannot change are other people and the situation.
He tried to change me once. It didn't go well.
And if you're married, unless he has a diaper, you cannot change him.
Oh, you can change the diaper.
That's true.
But
if he gets old enough, he'll probably wear a diaper. But. So this is really interesting. I like this because, again, that's a big part of where we go to neuroplasticity and amygdala hijacking, which is really what can you change, what cannot change. Only deal with stuff you can change. So then it got worse for me. Okay, so I'm all cool with that part, right?
Okay.
And so it said with hysteria, that's where we tend to turn inward, right? So this was the next quote, and this is where I started laughing uncontrollably. Alloplastic activities, hysterical individuals appear to be turned inward. Their symptoms, instead of presenting actions directed outward, alloplastic activities, are mere internal innervation autoplastic activities. Freud, with his single-minded Lamarckianism, speculated that behind Lamarck's idea of need was the power of the unconscious idea over one's own body, of which we see remnants of hysteria, in short, the omnipotent of thought. As a result, among his intermediate followers, insight into the regressive nature of the phenomenon of conversion may be taken as a starting point for speculation about the archaic origin of the capacity of autoplastic conversion. According to the evolution took place through the autoplastic adaptation of the body and demands of the environment. I don't know what any of that really means.
Well, I'm really impressed. I'm so impressed. Are you all impressed with him reading a little nugget of psychoanalytic theory?
That's.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'd rather talk about how to synthesize a methylated alkaloid That
Yeah.
would make sense.
Or the existential authentication that happens in eschatological.
Oh my God!
you know,
This is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's when you reach the level of like beast mode or brilliance, to where you can say a few things that mean like very basic stuff, but you can just confuse everybody.
Mozzarella.
That's why I love
Everyone
Scott.
knows what mozzarella
This is why I love Scott.
And I'm having fun so far. Okay. So, Mariah's lost. So am
Yeah,
I, actually. So I've got notes in front of me, and I did look up some things earlier myself, just to kind of like, again, those kind of rehearsed remarks about. Oh, that's right. I can't. Oh, I thought it would be open. Whoopsie. This thing isn't on the internet. Okay, that's cool. So, Patrick.
Yes.
May I make some comments just
I
about this
would
idea of
love
hysteria?
for you to just
Okay.
grab the steering wheel,
I'm going to take this wheel.
right?
I'm going to
and
change
drive
Patrick.
this conversation.
And actually, speaking of dialectics, which we were not, but we mentioned it earlier, dialectics is also about ongoing interpersonal transactions. And so Patrick and I are experiencing reciprocal determinism. We do affect you, so we don't we can't change somebody into the person, the man or woman we want them to be ideally, but we do change each other just by our interactions.
Ooh.
And in fact, we're experiencing reciprocal determinism with you, the viewers, and likewise. So there's this constant dynamic element of reality underway. And I do think all this business about hysteria makes a lot of sense. I appreciate the input from your Freudian research. And I was just kind of thinking about, I was surprised to find actually looking at, sorry, let me back that up. I'm not surprised. Because one thing we're looking at is mass hysteria.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about hysteria in general. And so we have this business about the autoplastic and alloplastic adaptations. And do you try to change the environment by controlling it? You can do things like make your bed. You can paint a wall in your house that looks nicer, but again, you cannot control reality. Which is, we keep talking to one another here, and we hope you'll bring your questions in. Mariah mentioned synthesis. Yes, absolutely. And then once we synthesize dialectically, then we're on to the next level of polarities, into the new dialectic.
Can you tell them the three things for dialect? As we talk about dialectical, there's like three things. Remember that? Become aware, change. I took a course from him.
He did, and I don't know.
But you said become aware.
Become aware.
Change. Or no, you said become aware, change through dialectics, and then practice change.
Something like that. That sounds like
Are
something
you
I
just
would say.
making up stuff?
No, I'm really
You
not.
have me quoting this stuff to other people.
Well, look, dialectics per se is really just, it's kind of a multi-layered thing.
That's it.
So first of all, Heather's mentioning that she mass hysteria.
I have completed a course
He did. There's
on
this continuing
dialectical
education.
behavior therapy.
Okay.
And this guy, even though I was drawing pictures on fruit and taking pictures and posting on Facebook, I was listening.
He
listening.
did make some really nice fruit pictures, that's
See?
for sure. Yeah.
I've been listening to you.
Oh, I know. I have no doubt, Patrick. I have no doubt.
All right.
But I've noticed that we're going to get to these questions, and Heather put something up there that's quite salient to her. Mass hysteria has created anxiety in people. She says that
Yes.
she lives with anxiety, and I'm calm about things, and that baffles a few of my friends. I'm going to say this related, and Mariah's nailing acceptance and change. That's the chief dialectic in DBT. So we're constantly, mindfully attempting to live in those tensions between those two. They kind of get out of balance once in a while. Sometimes we move into, again, trying to over-control reality. We're willful, but it causes suffering, emotional suffering, which I think is part of the mass hysteria. Now, interrupt whenever you need to, but to Heather's point, I want to say I've had several of my borderline patients recently say, those who are active in DBT, they're like, man, everybody needs DBT because they're all freaking out, and I'm just like, everything's fine.
Right.
And so some of this might be, one of them said something to the effect that they basically, hey, now everybody's in my world for a change. What's the big deal? Now you're all panicking and suffering with me. But the other side of that for them is they've also been learning mindfulness, emotion regulation, distress tolerance, and so they feel more equipped to basically hold space for, there's stress, it's weird, and yet they can be skillful.
Right.
So it's not a huge catastrophe for them. They're doing all the precautions and stuff, but they're not. So it's really interesting. I wonder if your anxiety, Heather, maybe in some way you're prepared. I mean, you're just sort of like this is everyone else is kind of entering your sphere, maybe whatever your baseline is that you operate at as a person who maybe struggles with chronic anxiety. You may be able to handle this better than some of us.
So that's a good point. So when I was driving to, I'm an extrovert. Did you know that?
I had a feeling.
I'm a super extrovert. So my kids are quarantined with their mom because they just came back from Florida.
I saw that post. I thought, wow, what delicious solitude you would have.
I know, but I love
You love
them.
your kids. You love your daughters.
I love being around them.
You are a good
and
dad.
I'm a guy that I have to go out and like be with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when patients.
So that's how you tricked me in over here.
That's right.
We could have done this by the telehealth, television. What is this? The telemajig?
Facebook Live.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm an old Tammy guy. Telemajig.
So I was driving to work, and I have this kind of like solace, right? And so as I'm driving, there are geese on the highway crossing. Like I've never seen that before, but there's no one on the highway, right? So,
oh yeah, sure.
So I'm driving on the highway. There's nobody, and I'm just like, I didn't see anybody yesterday at all.
Yeah.
At all. I didn't talk to anybody. I have 2 cats at home, and so a few weeks ago I was going to parties and stuff with a few friends, and like that was my recharging kind of thing. But usually I go to the movies, or I go have a martini with friends, or I socialize, and I don't have any of that. So then I'm driving to work this morning. I'm like, wait, is this just how like people feel that come see me? Like, is this how they feel? Like, it's not like depression, but it's just kind of like my battery just has no charge. Like the ways that I recharge my battery are not there. They're not even possible during this, right?
Right.
And so, so just like with Heather, the idea that other people are now coming into the anxiety space, or for me, they're coming in that kind of empty space as an extrovert of just that's a really interesting perspective that, we're always trying to convince them to come into our spaces. Yeah. But now I think everybody massively has entered either anxiety or isolationism. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, I think it's right. It is.
Do you validate my feelings?
I totally get where you're coming from, man. I'm even going to touch
He touched me! Ah!
Here, put some sanitizer on.
That's it. I'm taking off my shirt.
I think we're going to be okay.
All right.
But we do, of course, want to be wise with all of these things. But.
Yeah, we're making jokes, but that's because we're in the healthcare profession where you see all this atrocity all the time, and you make jokes. So
right, and so we don't want to be jokes. I do want to just back up because I did notice that Heather said thank you for those comments. You're welcome, Heather. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing the anxiety is an issue for you.
Yeah.
The frank reality is more of us struggle with anxiety than we would care to admit because we live in a culture that tells us we need to be hyper competent. So yay, that makes you competent by being able to be vulnerable in some ways. What were you talking about? Something about your feelings? I forgot already.
Yeah, no, my battery is just
it's so important to me.
Like I feel like a different universe because I don't have my recharge.
Yeah, right.
I don't have my extrovert social recharge. My cats are both introverts.
I'm an extrovert also. So in some ways, I'm really glad to be down here because look, we're still having church at St. George, but the numbers we're asked to
You got some church?
Well, somehow we're supposed to just have 10 people show up, but we have 1,200 people or so on the rolls, so a lot of us just aren't going. And so we're watching online, which is really weird for Orthodox people because we really like to smell things and pray and look at our icons. We're very communal, incarnate people. So that's a little bit weird. So I am actually having fun by being here with Patrick. Yay!
Extroverts!
Extroverts unite! And then introverts are like, I've been training for this day my whole life.
That's what Holly, talking to her, you tell she was so happy.
I bet she was doing cartwils, and she's just like, this is my jam. You introverts are ready.
Mm-hmm. They've been preparing for this their whole life.
The introverts are probably going to, they're probably already engaging in autoplasticity. They're changing them, or they don't have to change anything, actually. Maybe they're more of like a autostasis or something.
I think so.
Autoplastistasis. Homeoplasticity.
Plastiostasis.
Plastiostasis. We've got to work up a word and coin it and hashtag it.
Yes. Because we're like
hashtag your hashtag.
So one of the things is I want you guys to post. Are you introvert? Are you extrovert? Or are you kind of ambivert? Right. So some people don't know. But really, you're defined by that, by what recharges you. Does being alone recharge you? Like you feel more energetic and better? Or does being around other people? So that's really the difference we're looking for. And what are you doing then to deal with that? Hey, there's Dwayne Beatty.
Yeah, man, he says he's ready. Yeah, you're ready. Okay, and I'm looking at, Kimberly mentioned that she just got back from horseback riding and being out in nature. Good job.
Perfect.
Refreshing. This is not a time to stop doing important things that do refresh you and recharge you, and that are basically sensible human activities, which reminds me, if we can, Patrick, I do want to squeeze in a little extended quote from C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, there's a quote.
Can we do it now?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Do it
but I
now.
also want to
Yeah.
say that looking at Lori Farlow's question or statement, are all feelings validated? You just need to know how to balance them correctly. Well, you do need to know how to balance them. That's why a lot of folks come to therapy or practice mindfulness, just
they
to learn how to
validated?
dance a little bit better.
Are all feelings validated?
Well,
So I was
if
telling
somebody
people,
validates
I was
them,
telling
sure.
people
All
being
feelings
hysteric.
are valid. All feelings are valid.
Yeah.
So
But-
the hysteria is valid because we're susceptible to it. So if I'm experiencing that, it makes sense because I'm human, and if I'm not paying attention in the way, and say with mindfulness, then I'm going to give into what Freud's talking about with that alloplastic, and I'm going to get swept up in the panic. For instance, taking all the toilet paper. I love the memes that show the little boy with the bowl, like the cereal bowl and the spoon in it and a roll of toilet paper. And he says, "Hey, Mom, when's this coronavirus thing going to be over?" And you see the next thing says, "Shut up and eat your toilet paper." So I don't know what I get the hand sanitizer, I get the gloves and the mask. I don't understand the toilet paper phenomena. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just baffled.
No, so I want to mention something.
But it's probably hysteria.
Okay, so adaptation theory says your perception of reality is based on what you keep listening to, watching, hearing, right? So you keep watching all these videos of people still getting toilet paper. And
Yeah.
I literally was laying in my bed, because I've been talking smack about this the whole time, laughing.
Yeah.
But I was actually laying in bed thinking, am I not responding? How much toilet paper do I even have? And so I actually went and looked, and I was like, yeah, I got like 6 rolls, which is probably a month or 2.
Yeah.
But, it even had me thinking, and I'm pretty damn rational about all this, and telling people to stop freaking out. But that adaptation theory, that input, if you keep watching hysteria, you are going to become hysterical.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking about. Let's come back to that a minute. Let me lay on everybody the C.S. Lewis quote here. So basically, C.S. Lewis is just timely and timeless. He's both as a thinker about culture and these kind of phenomena. Just a little. Most of you probably know C.S. Lewis as the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, science fiction trilogy, lots of books on theology and philosophy, Mere Christianity, The Problem of Pain. Even he was a professor of literature and philosophy at Cambridge and Oxford. He was an Oxford Don. He also was wounded with shrapnel in World War I trench wars. He suffered from, I think, malaria or trench fever. Watched many of his friends and colleagues die in that vicious war. Lost his mother when he was about 3 or 6 years old, something like that, when she died of cancer. So anyway, I'm putting all that out there to say the man has some real street cred. So when he says what I'm about to read, he's not just a guy armchairing it from no experience. I mean, got shrapnel blown into your body. You've watched destruction of humanity. I think he's got some.
He's earned his.
I don't think he would have said street cred. He might have said, "Now, bloke, perhaps I do have the street cred."
He would have said the cred of the street.
The cred of the street, the credibility, Scott. Let's use the proper words.
He has war cred.
So, he has war cred. During World War II, that's when he started writing and giving talks on, faith and that sort of thing. And he was actually broadcast on BBC during the air raids of World War II. But this is an excerpt from an essay of his, which comes from an essay called On Living in the Atomic Age. So probably for some folks who may be a little older, there were times where and maybe some of us still are, but there was a time when we were extraordinarily, as a people, fearful of the atomic bomb. I remember doing tests as a kid.
Bomb drills, yeah.
Bomb drills. I mean, there were tornado drills, but they're bomb drills. Anyway, I'm going on and on. Let me stop that. But this is due to knowing that somebody out there riding their horses during a coronavirus pandemic. Good on you. Okay?
Hell yeah.
And here's the thing is, I'm going to read this excerpt as he writes about the bomb. He's writing it from an English perspective because he's writing to his fellow English, country people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to, when you hear me say the word atomic bomb, I want you to think coronavirus. Okay.
All right.
But I think the advice is really useful for all of us here. And this doesn't have to do with, we need to wash our hands, we need to watch our distance, be careful around elderly, all those good things. Follow those precautions. And now, finally, after too many words come out of my mouth, here come more words out of my mouth, but the wiser words of C.S. Lewis. He says that in one way, we think a great deal too much of the atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm.
How are we to live in an atomic age? I am tempted to reply, why, as you would have lived in the 16th century when the plague visited London almost every year. Or as you would have lived in a Viking age when raiders from Scandinavia might land and cut your throat any night. Or indeed, as you already are living in an age of cancer, an age of syphilis, an age of paralysis, an age of air raids, an age of railway accidents, an age of motor accidents.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, do not let us begin by exaggerating the novelty of our situation. Believe me, dear sir or madam, you and all whom you love were already sentenced to death before the atomic bomb was invented. And quite a high percentage of us were going to die in unpleasant ways.
Mm-hmm.
We had indeed one very great advantage over our ancestors, anesthetics. But we have that still. It is perfectly ridiculous to go about whimpering and drawing long faces because the scientists have added one more chance of painful and premature death to a world which already bristled with such chances, and in which death itself was not a chance at all, but a certainty. This is the first point to be made, and the first action to be taken is to pull ourselves together.
Yes.
If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing sensible and human things. Praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, riding horses, chatting to our friends over a pint and a game of darts.
I like that.
Not huddled together like frightened sheep and thinking about bombs.
Exactly.
They may break our bodies. A microbe can do that. But they need not dominate our minds.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I love that.
And that's what we need.
Because that's that thing of like, okay, we've been through coronavirus, we've been through epidemics before, we've been through the flu every single year. Great. Go be happy still.
Yeah.
Quarantine and be happy, right?
Right. Exactly.
You know, if you're going to die happy, right? So the slowest form of death you will ever achieve is healthiness.
Right.
You're still going to die. So die happy.
Have joy.
Yeah.
Embracing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that way, so that's kind of like corona pause. Okay, we now have this slowing down moment. What the hell are you going to do with it? Are you going to exhaust your damn hormones even more? Buying into constant input of hysteria and fear over stuff that you already have enough hysteria and fear, right?
Right.
So how about you do things that are more things that change you out of all this? That create a stronger brain, actually rewires your brain for happiness. This is your slowing moment. Yeah. This is that moment that when the wind dies down, all right, let's clean the boat, let's organize things, let's prepare, let's make sure everything's caught up for when the wind starts again. We are now prepared. We are healthier and happier and more energetic. Get the hell outside. You can social distance outside, right?
That's right.
So go outside. Be social, you know, like with nature, commune with nature.
Sorry. Yeah.
Just don't commune with bats near the cave near Yunnan province. But other than that,
right, definitely not that one.
You're good.
Right. Yeah. So in other words, we still want to be human and wise, and we are not in any particularly new situation. Really, I mean, it's new. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's new, not new. I mean, it's just like there's nothing new under the sun. Again, we've had the plague, we've had the Spanish flu, we've had pandemics as human beings before. It's new to us, and I got to tell you, I feel like I'm a fairly resilient person. I don't take it lightly. I do feel a little heavy about it because I realize how it's affecting people. I also feel heavy because when I am out and about town, you know, seeing the empty stores and traffic, and you know, maybe try to go to you know, a restaurant that's still open and be the only customer there. It's strange. It's very strange and different. And so I hope this doesn't last too long, just for our collective sake of enjoying one another. And do I put your email address in this one? I think it went.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do it for me, please, and thank you. I think you have to do it here.
He's still trying to get
You
online.
gotta do it on this one.
Oh.
Yeah. We've got like 2 keyboards, a phone, 2 mobile phones, and 2 hand sanitizers. By the way, how much you guys willing? We're gonna do an auction. How much you guys willing to, you know, pay for the?
What you need, man? What you need, huh?
No, just kidding. We're not gonna do this anyway.
Are you holding today?
And your connection's now. Oh, cool! Now
We got it all
I
for
can
you.
have these resources. What, right?
So even like that. So what I love too is like, you know, we were like, okay, we're all gonna die. So we have our experts up on stage, and they're gonna tell us how we're gonna survive. And then she's like, just don't touch your face. Licks her finger, turns the page for more directions, right?
Oh my goodness!
And then you have the president, everybody on stage, and they're like, okay, so what we need to do is socially distance as they're all 17 people crammed together, and they all shake the hands, they touch the thing on the same place, they touch the mic. So just don't over-exhaust your hormones.
Hey, before I say something to Deborah McCarty's comment, which I think is really fair, Mariah, that's a cute animal with a soccer ball. Nice post. Even if you didn't mean it, let's just roll with it. That's great. We need more cute memes like that in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Deborah, I think you're right. A lot of people don't like the thought that they may die. Here's the thing is, we're all going to die.
Wrong, yeah.
I mean, so it's not a matter of that we may die. It is we will die eventually. I mean, that's what C.S. Lewis is saying. And I know for some folks, it's sort of, I mean, you know, look, we're living organisms, we're living souls, and so we have a instinct to live.
Yeah.
You know, aside from having extraordinary depression, trauma that may lead to being vulnerable to suicidal behaviors, but the norm for humanity is to survive and to live. And yeah, that's a discomforting thought to think that in some ways that this is going to come to an end for us.
Yeah.
We don't know where or when, you know, presently, but that's part of the point is there can be a clarification in that boundary, that awareness of that boundary, and if I may, which I'm going to anyway,
I guess.
related to mindfulness.
Do you want me to mansplain this after you?
You should, because I'm a man, and it may not make any sense, so I might need another man to explain it for us. We may need a woman to help us out.
We need a woman
we need a woman to, you know, help us out. There's some fabulous women we know who are much smarter than we are. We, in Buddhist monastic communities and in many Orthodox Christian monastic communities, it's common to find a practice called watchfulness to death.
Ooh.
And so these spiritual practitioners practice mindfulness or watchfulness to death, meaning they reflect upon during the day at some point, not the whole day, but just at some point, the reality that their present state of life is not it's not interminable. It comes to an end, and I believe in part that's done for a way to clarify one's status as a finite creature, and then maybe perhaps a kind of these are my words, a fuel to propel us into being more intentional about living well the few days that we have.
Ooh, I like that.
Whether that's 50 years, whether that's 80 years, 120, the big question for all of us, death is not what defines us, but death can be something as a boundary that can basically pose a question to us: how will you live?
Right.
And if we were going to bring in some Viktor Frankl, then he would bring in life would question us and say, what are you going to make of me? And that's not on coronavirus, that's not on North Korean nuclear scares, that's not on present politics or anybody else. That's on us.
Yeah.
Each of us, we can help each other be more encouraged with that. So anyway, I went on and on about that, but yeah, that idea about death, it can be discomforting. But let's make the most of it. Let's really, I don't want to be trite, but I think that was one of the beauties of the old film with Robin Williams, Dead Poet Society. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Carpe diem.
Yes.
Suck the marrow from life. Really live. Turn towards your spouse, turn towards your children or your grandchildren or your grandparents, and be present with them and love them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to run out of time.
No, I like that. Turn towards and be present.
Turn toward and be
And
present.
be in this moment.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Every time you see something with stats, you can't change any of that. So just what can you do? And so that's that turning towards.
Yeah.
So again, like, do you want to spend this time, quality time with your children? Or do you want to be hysterical and let your children watch how your parents become hysterical? So that way they can grow up and be hysterical, right? And again, it's, even I have to sit there and kind of like really qualitatively and quantitatively look at the data and just be like, okay, so if we then divided that by 330,000 and we go to the thousandth point, that's 0. Okay, so still going to be fine.
Yeah.
2006, the American diet became the leading cause of preventable death over smoking. Hundreds of thousands of people are going to die.
Or so-called food, yeah.
From what you eat and drink before one person dies from corona. So, really focus on what is the real present things that we can have control over, right?
Right.
So isolation is good, quarantine is good, but what do we have control over? That's that, autoplastic kind of changes, is change what you can change.
Yeah, you can change what you put into your food hole. That's a medical term, right?
I think so.
Yeah, you can do that. I also just want to say, hey, Jacqueline, thanks for being here in this moment with us. We appreciate it.
Jackie.
I feel as though you are turned toward us. We are turned toward you. So thanks for that. And also, looks like Deborah's offering us Everclear, aloe vera, and water in equal amounts. It must be some kind of natural hand sanitizer. So I guess it's...
I drank that. Is that okay? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to heal your insides.
She didn't say sanitizer. I've been drinking that the whole time.
Well, she didn't say either way. Oh my gosh, Patrick. How much of that did you drink?
She didn't tell me how much. Damn it.
Well, anyway.
That's why we get big advice and we go for it.
That's right, we do. So we appreciate all your input and everything, but yeah, that's something we can do. This is something I really appreciate about your work, influencing people to eat differently, and that makes a big difference in terms of what we experience as mental health, just sense of well-being, and stop eating things that will hurt you.
Well, and if you think about like
unnecessarily
neuroplasticity and adaptation. So that's input.
Yeah.
So then when you say, well, what can I do? What can my family do? So the input is, what do you see? You can control what you guys watch and read.
Oh, yeah.
What do you listen to? Is it news? Yeah. Is it Fox News? Is it InfoWars? Or is it Radio Lab? You get different outcomes to different inputs, right?
Yeah.
Are you listening to music? Those kind of things. So listen to positive music, listen to positive things, so that way your input drives your output. So the same thing with kind of tactile stuff, right? Yeah. So, do we, who wants to wear a mask and all that kind of stuff, and gloves and all that, but could you make some like natural hand sanitizer, put a little lemon oil in there, eucalyptus oil, and make it smell pretty too, right?
Yeah, right.
Make it smell nice, and it's really bacteriostatic and antiviral too. So, figuring out ways to look at what you input, and are those things allowing you to feel calmer, happier? With your kids, start practicing yoga, practicing calm, slow. Make this a corona pause. And like so all those things that you've wanted to get caught up on that you could never get caught up on, get caught up. If you guys are a couple, make one person leave with the kids to go be quarantined out in nature, right? And that way the other one can recharge, and then when they get back, the extrovert parents recharge, the introvert parents recharged, right? Or if you need to get work done, have that communication to figure out what do you really need during the corona pause to grow and flourish. And then once everything starts back up after this pause and becomes crazy, are we now a better, healthier, neuroplastic kind of person? Are we a frontal lobe person, or are we constantly in fear and anxiety.
Yeah, and I think maybe a lot of this is we could take some of those ideas into what's coming for a lot of us, right? Schools are canceled for the rest of the year. Not to spike anxiety for anybody again, we're back to that. But I mean, that's going to be challenging. It's going to be really difficult. And we again, just like we turn toward one another for love and connection, we can turn toward challenge, we turn toward stress. That actually quantitatively changes the nature of stress. It actually makes us more resilient and stronger.
Yes.
Rather than saying, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't handle it. And if we have those habits, well, probably ought to work on that a little bit, just for our own sake, so we don't have to do unnecessary emotional suffering. The fact is, all is well, and I kind of look at it and kind of go, wow, this is going to be really hard. I can't wait to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, just try that a little bit in case you're a parent with kids that you've got to figure out what to do for the rest of the semester. And if you're an educator, hats off to you. You're in a kind of bit of a pickle because the rest of us are wondering why you're not telling us yet exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
For education. But I really mean that. I'm glad I'm not you, because that's a tough place to be, and you've got a lot of things to come up with and deal with. And you're not going to please everybody. I already know that, and you do too. But thank you, teachers and educators, for doing what you do, and farmers, and firemen, and cops, and
I didn't see one cop the whole way here.
oh, you know what that means?
No cops.
Vroom vroom.
Lawlessness.
Yeah. Hey,
Lawlessness.
speaking of lawlessness, I just want to let folks know. Hi, looks like Blanca Jimenez joined us. Welcome, Blanca. Sorry, it's Blanca. Just up on some news because of the potential for hysteria. Because part of what hysteria is, it's like an emotional contagion. So, for instance, somebody said something to me earlier this week about, well, I hope you're stocked up on stuff, and they were very just matter of fact about it. So it just sounded really reasonable. It's kind of like what you're saying, like maybe I'm not panicking enough. Maybe maybe I should be like getting shotguns and digging a bunker and all those kinds of things, and I can't quite do that. But I had a client. I think it was a client, maybe a colleague. I need to talk louder, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Right into there. Okay. All right. Trust this computer.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, we're running out of power. So
Running into it. We're power sourcing. Anyway, what was posed to me is like, I hope you have enough food and whatnot, because starting in a week or two, the National Guard will be checking your paper, that you have to have an essential personnel paper, and you can only leave your house for personnel reasons. Hi, Tim, Angela, and Maria for joining us. Welcome, welcome.
Wait, what?
So, right. So there's a. See, I'm glad you asked it that
Is it
way.
even for real?
Because they were saying this to me. I thought, wow, that's because I know presently in Italy, to get out of the home, you have to have some kind of form, and you can only leave the house for quote unquote essential reasons. So medical, work, certain kinds of work, but very specific reasons in some areas. So of course this then triggered some concern for people about the military. The government's going to pass martial law. Not going to happen. That's my prediction. Plus also looking at some news sources with the Adjutant General's office in Kansas. The National Guard is being deployed, but they are engaging in administrative tasks to support law enforcement. So law enforcement can be out doing the community policing while they are doing things like paperwork and computer stuff and logistics. National Guard's also being deployed in order to help facilitate both medicine and food supply chains continuing. So we're not going to see National Guard in the streets or anything like that. We're not going to be under martial law. But that's the thing. You hear that and you think, well, I've seen those movies, but also there's a kernel of possibility in it, and our imagination's going to run wild. And then we're going to hoard all the toilet paper and make a toilet paper fort, to keep the UN forces out of our house or that sort of thing. And I'm being a little facetious there, of course. But that's not going to happen. And I want to remind people, by the way, sorry, this is a soapbox. Can I soapbox for a moment?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so here's a soapbox thing. Whatever your politics are, and I don't want to go all political here right now. And hey, everybody, Ellen, join us. Hi, Ellen. You're here in time for my soapbox about the military. And here's
Daily Soapbox.
Daily Soapbox. It's a new website.
Not the government.
Be sure to cancel your subscription right away. Pre-cancel your subscription. But here's the thing: is I once was married to the Army. My former father-in-law was an adjutant general of National Guard in Kansas way back in the day. Having been on posts and bases and command of change and all those sorts, command changes, those sorts of things. The thing about military people is they are exactly like you and me and Patrick. They have families. They love their country. They love their communities. They're not itching to take over Wichita, Kansas, the Midwest, or the United States. They're like us, unlikely that they would ever even feel compelled to do that by conscience. So please don't think that the National Guard is going to take over.
Are you saying they're not coming for my guns?
And they're not coming for your guns.
All right.
No, nobody's coming for anybody's guns either. I know that. I probably just picked a fight. They could be. Somebody's coming
it's just
for.
Conspiracy.
Ellen likes a good soapbox. Well, thanks. So that's my soapbox. And the thing is, too, with our elected officials, and I realize we have corruption in our government. Depending on your politics, that will in some ways determine who you think is corrupt. Most politicians that we know them. They're, again, like the military folks. They're human beings like the rest of us with families, and they care about who we are, how we're doing. And most, I'm going to say at least that. I'll be a little conservative. I guess I won't go all of them, but I'm going to say most of them want to do well by those who voted them in office. I know locally that's true. People like Lacey Cruz and Brandon Johnson.
Lacey Cruz!
You know, these are folks that they're there to serve the community. They're not after, certainly on a local level, they're not trying to gain power. And these are folks I think are pretty fabulous, and I don't agree with every point of their politics, but I really admire their commitment to our community. So keep that in mind also that, you know, imagine yourself as a politician, as a politician, with your set of values and moral compass, that kind of thing. And most politicians, they're sitting the same way. They're not out looking for, like, how can we shut down America, take over and take everybody's guns or food or even their toilet paper. They might try to slow down our purchase of the toilet paper.
Yes.
That we may see an increase. It could be, now, the conspiracy I believe in is it's probably I think it's the Australians. They want to sell us bidets.
I have a bidet. I installed a bidet for my last girlfriend.
Oh.
Who's still sweet. But.
Okay, nice.
But then we broke up. But I still have a bidet. So
you got a bidet.
Toilet paper goes away, I got my bidet. So
but actually,
I'm okay.
a bidet kind of I've never even used one, but it kind of makes sense. But see, the Australians, we could, if we want to have hysteria, we could say Australians. I don't know who actually manufactures bidets more than anybody else, but
I don't trust Australians.
Those Australians are out to take our traditional toilets from us.
Yeah. Well, you know, almost every country has bidets.
Oh.
Yeah. So like,
that's why we don't have them.
Yeah, because
Because they're not American.
They're not American. We have Turkish toilets. So.
Is that what those are called?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
One time when I was in Belgium, way back in my when I was still in my 20s, I was surprised by the literal hole in the floor I got to use to evacuate myself into. That was fascinating.
I did that in Paris at a bar. It was gross.
That was the toilet.
In Japan, same thing. It's like a urinal, but it's on the floor.
Oh wow, weird.
And so you just squat over it.
Yeah. Drink that sanitizer. Lori, he did. You saw him. He's taking your advice. Good job.
And my breath is fresher that way.
Oh, I smell it over here. I feel disinfected just sitting next to you.
I was hoping stuff wouldn't come out, but it was too liquidy.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, oh, what crap. All right.
See? A little bit of this here. Just kidding here. But well, anyway, I soapboxed for a while, so I hope that was useful to somebody or made sense. I'd love for us, if we could, to be wise,
wise-minded.
Be wise-minded, yeah.
And we could create a wise life. So say your phrase. So we should with all this stuff. So I don't know if Scott. I quote it from Scott, but I don't know if Scott quotes it for someone. But
we'll find
sit
out.
there, take a step back, take a moment to kind of pause with you and your significant other, your spouse, or your kids, and say, kind of, what would a life worth living look like from here?
Ooh.
Now that we have time to pause and think things through, what does that want? Did you make that up, or did you?
No, I'm sure that's years of just swimming in Dr. Marshall Linehan's
That's yours then.
DBT, and it's some version. It's been kind of.
Are they dead?
No, she's still alive, very much alive.
Can you take her?
Well, I don't know. She's formidable, and it doesn't make sense to want to take Marcia. You just have to love her.
Okay.
She's amazing.
All right. So
I don't even want to.
So whose quote is it?
Not really sure. Let's make it. We'll say it's mine for now. We'll say.
I'm going to quote Scott on this.
Quoted by way of filtering decades of input from wiser persons.
Yes. All right. So then, what does if you guys sat down? So your outtake from all this is say, okay, how do we stop looking at the outside of the things we can't change,
Right.
and allowing that to wire our brains? But
like
to
it.
then say, okay, what can I control? So the environment for me or for my family, the changes that we can control during this Corona pause, what does a life worth living look like in the age of quarantine? So that's what I want you guys to tell me.
Yeah.
Out of all this, what does that look like? Because whatever it looks like for you and you post that, that's going to help other people too. And so mine...
I better say hi to Carla. She's got a pouty face. I don't know if she's talking to you or other friends out there. Hi, Carla.
Hey, Carla.
Welcome to the program.
So, how's that look like for you? Because you have a fiance, so you are a lone wolf. Lone wolf. Lone, educated, wise wolf out in the wilderness,
My goodness, that sounds awesome.
And then now, he went from that to he is a homebody, engaged, 3 kids?
There will be 3 stepkids.
3 stepkids. So what does a wife, not a wife worth living? Whoopsie.
Mariah
How
will be
does
the
a
wife
life
worth living for.
Worth living look like in that kind of environment? Because your environment is more like typical. My environment's more atypical. Or maybe it's not. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Here's how I put it. I want to say I think it's really cool. Ellen Awe responded to the question by saying, being still, mind and body. Good stuff, Ellen. Appreciate it. She's one of our wise friends.
Yes.
So nice comment, Ellen. True, very true. For myself, I think living a life worth living is part of what Ellen is saying there, being still and keeping engaged with life. Like my businesses, and it's related to my business, or I'm going to plug a little bit, but it's wise mind, wise life, engage, enchant, elevate. And so that's really just about how can we live an engaged life. That would be being mindful. How can we be enchanted with life, and meaning and appropriating that word is to mean finding wonder and awe and connection with things like beauty and truth and all that good stuff in life, which part of what makes us really human. And so that way I don't get reduced down to just being I don't stay reduced to strictly a consumer with a literal mindset who has no place for mythology or poetry or the beauty of trees and seas and mountains and all that good stuff. So that would be part of it. And then the elevation part is you're elevated by being engaged and allowing yourself to be enchanted, and to look at the people around you not as mere mortals, but as beings with just they're beautiful, luminous beings. You are, the kids are. And when the emotions get kind of high and old habits of thought kind of come in, it's I can get off track with all of it, but I'm so grateful that I have those practices in mindfulness, and also in Mariah I have a really wonderful partner where we can help each other kind of go, okay, whoa, we're going total emotion mind on this, we're going total limbic system, let's just kind of back up, breathe, pray, meditate, whatever.
Is it okay that happens?
Oh yeah.
Because you guys are all clustered up, right? Is it okay for 2 loving people to get frustrated in quarantine?
Yeah, of course, it'd be normal.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's keeping that bigger perspective. And in some ways, just even kind of going, of course we're going a little nutty right now. We're cooped up right now. And so what are some ways we can kind of just, work through this? But yeah, we don't have to make this, no feeling. I'm going to steal some from my favorite German poet, Rilke, here a little bit. No feeling is final. So I'm frustrated with you right now. 5 minutes from now, that's going to be a different reality. And that's also dialectics, because nothing stays the same. Yeah. My emotions are in flux. The relationship is dynamic. It doesn't have to be stuck unless my habit of thoughts like, no, I really want to be stuck. I'm going to hold on to this. And let me accuse you of being annoying, and then watch the suffering bubble up, and that's not going to work for anybody.
Because it could be a powder keg.
If you lack skills, and I think that's why it's important to look at things like just some basic mindfulness practices, and what are ways, how can you validate your partner, and going back to that language of turning toward them And I will say, to those of you who are watching now, who may watch later, some good resources on relationship stuff will be John Gottman, Gottman, does a lot of work on emotions in parenting and family life and with couples. Takes work, so even for healthy, strong couples, sometimes we need a little extra work to be better than what we are as we continue to engage, enchant, and elevate together.
Yeah.
What's Lori saying here? She's fortunate. She says that I have a husband and a couple of dogs. That keeps me going. We can talk on the phone and have conversations through social media, so we're not completely shut off from the world. We can still take walks and keep our distances.
Yeah.
Nice. That's being turned toward even when we have to kind of stand apart from each other a little bit. Yeah, nice. Appreciate that, Lori. Lots of good input coming from you. Hi, Lisa and Kim Conkle. And welcome, Jenny Gonzalez Robinson.
So the other part then is, what do the people do that are more like me, that are, now the introverts are fine, we don't have to worry about those, but like the extroverts.
They should give us some advice, but yeah, the extroverts.
I don't want no introverts advice. It'll be like, just talk to your cats more and sing a musical.
You're going to be in trouble, man.
So
Holly's going to get you.
For like, if you're single, and now you go to work and you're kind of isolated, you're at home, you're isolated, in your car, you're isolated, like, how the hell do they overcome the isolation, right? So, on NPR they were talking about, we keep saying we're isolated, but we're not.
We're distancing.
We're distancing.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of like, they're talking about, well, we're connected by Skype and all these things. But me Skyping and me talking on the phone doesn't recharge me the same as, like, my love language is more touch. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Well, if you go on...
So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm just going to make some ridiculous comments, but they're already
Is this about
fading, thank
Tinder?
goodness.
Is this...
No, definitely not about Tinder.
Is there coronavirus Tinder?
I don't know. I was going to say something about, if you go on dates, make sure you're willing, take an extra container of hand sanitizer.
Oh, that's right.
You may slather it on your face
spray it
and
down
first
with
and hands, and
Lysol.
in case you're going for that kiss goodnight, just slather it with that first, and everything's okay. I don't have to worry about that. Yay! Okay.
So then, for you guys that are alone, more single kind of people, maybe not, because the goal is to be alone but not lonely, right? So what are the things that you guys are going to do to then, during this pause, of saying, okay, I don't have a bunch of people to recharge me. What else can I find to really recharge me? So mine's been trying to figure out how to survive financially during all this. That's been keeping me pretty busy. Like, I haven't had a whole lot of time to pause outside of that.
Yeah.
Because when you're self-employed, you're kind of like make or break. But with the
telehealth.
But there's been a couple weekends, like last weekend and this weekend, that like I watched probably 3 or 4 movies for the first time. Like, really just was able to just kind of like pause and be like, it's okay if I just like screw off,
I want to recommend everybody consider getting the 4-hour extended editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy films.
Oh my gosh.
You can kill about 12 hours.
This is the time.
Don't kill time. We're not talking about killing time, sorry. If you're looking for something, I think, amazing, that's my personal thing. Because you get the engagement, enchantment, and the elevation.
My favorite character in Lord of the Rings was when Harry Potter and that owl found that cloak or something.
I like the Luke
and
Skywalker
they found the ring,
guy.
and then they threw the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they gave the ring to Darth Vader. And then Luke had to take it from them, and then he had to take it to Pluto, where it could be destroyed. But on the way to Pluto, he ran into zombie androids.
What about Asgard? Asgard?
Thor!
Asgard?
Asgard. The Asgardians.
Asgard. Okay.
Asgard.
Wait,
We're Midgard
wait,
fans.
is Thor the Asgard?
Thor.
Is he Asgard? He's not as cool as I thought he was.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi Suzanne, thank you for joining us, and thank you Cindy for also joining us. Just want to acknowledge you out there as you come in. And what else about so there's things you can do. All is well. I would say my perspective on the aloneness is this. This takes some skill and practice, and I recommend everybody a fella named I recommend a fellow named Henry Nouwen. Henry is Henri.
It's Henri.
Henri Nouwen, Nouwen. He writes some really lovely things on solitude and loneliness, and
Solitude.
mhm.
Oh, I like that.
So the way I would construct it, probably with some influence from him and Thomas Merton and probably Thich Nhat Hanh, is basically isolation is different than solitude. Isolation is this place where we are probably on the borders of alienation from other relationships and connections, and we probably are going to suffer some depression and some profound loneliness there, maybe some fear. We feel disconnected. And actually that, even on neurobiological levels, really kind of the beginning of like where we do face a lot of disease is the fact that I should see near the microphone, I'm talking slow, I can't, I'm doing the low talker thing.
Well, I plugged back in.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
we're good.
All right.
Well, what's solitude then?
So solitude would be the intentional, basically the intentional cultivation of that aloneness as a time of personal refreshing. It could even be using some of that time for meditation where you're not just put down the phone, don't look at a book, don't watch a movie. I sit, maybe I'm just with my breath. It's purposeful. And I just watch what comes up. And maybe I notice things like, I'm really uncomfortable when I'm by myself. Okay, but I'm just noticing it. I don't have to go, oh, I can't stand it, ever call everybody I know. But if you have that thought, you can say, hey, I notice I have the thought. I need to call everybody I know. Isn't that interesting? But I'm just sitting with it for a few minutes because I can learn. This solitude can reveal things about ourselves to us because we're not in chronic distraction.
Yeah.
Gives us an opportunity to do a little recollecting of ourselves and our fractured thoughts, coming back to sort of that single pointedness of living in our bodies. We're befriending ourselves, in the space we occupy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Which, by the way, hiking.
Oh, hiking.
I get rejuvenated with hiking.
We need to go do a hike, man, because I've been dying for a hike.
Well, we should do that during
Horse, can we go to the horse? What's the horse
Chronopost.
lake? Something horse? What's it?
Horseshoe Lake?
No, not horseshoe lake.
Horse Thief Trail.
No, that would be good too. I'm thinking about
We gotta go to Wichita Mountains.
Elk Lake City.
Oh, we go to Wichita Mountains. Way better.
Well, okay, but I'd like to go to that because it's
Way better.
close. Let's do both.
We went there before.
No, I know. I'm going to go
We
again.
went and we brought gourmet food and sat there and drank wine with our
And I got ticks.
friends, our lady friends.
Yep, our old friends
And,
Ola and Shanna. Yeah, we had a good time. And
Yeah.
Yeah, we made some burritos. I had like 10 pounds of extra food on my backpack, which
I
I'm never going
know.
to do that again because that really weighs you down after a few miles.
Yeah. But this is perfect
But it was
time because
delicious.
there's not a lot of bugs.
But there's not a lot of bugs. And we sat in a spot where
All right.
I was just begging for it. But anyway, we'll talk about that later.
We'll do that.
Hike.
We'll go on a
Hiking's
hike.
good.
And we'll social distance like 6 feet while we're hiking.
Yeah, I don't think the trees are going to give us coronavirus. We'll find out.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
Wrapping it up.
I'm going to post. Well, again, we're going to have more talks about this kind of stuff because I think the hardest part about all this is we have no end in mind here. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
right.
like, hey, everything's going to be really weird and different. And we're not going to tell you when it's going to get even more weird, how long it's going to last, or what the end point is, or anything like that, right?
That's
So, if you guys join in the middle of this, watch the first part because, again, what we do for really resisting hysteria is the main thing with this. You know, using this as a pause. So, what we read, what we watch, what we listen to, who we interact with, is going to rewire us for either hysteria and panic and exhaust our hormones,
Yep.
or we're going to be more
Going to be more
autoplastic, where we actually
Working on ourselves.
actually have pliable changes that we make for better. So when that pause stops and life starts going really fast again, that we actually have better tools, better resources.
Yeah.
We're more able. It's kind of like I don't have any work. I'm going to start lifting weights. So when I go back to the gym, I'm stronger. When I go back to running, I'm stronger.
Good idea.
That's all this is. It's like a mental gym time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
like
know that hysteria exploits us. We want to be prepared, but not worry.
Right.
And and then we also want to do, how can we turn more autoplastic to where where we create neuroplastic changes that make us stronger, healthier, and happier in an environment that we cannot control. So I'm going to post a whole bunch of stuff. These are ones that I've kind of like went through, but it's, you know, basically what can you be doing to occupy your time and to be more neuroplastic as we go through this Corona pause.
That's right. Corona pause.
And I want to thank Scott Spradlin for being here.
I'm so glad I got to come down here and get close to you, and you know, be part of this apocalyptic charm.
He was like, I got a fever, and I was just like, that's fine. I got the fever for a Pringle, and actually his fever was for more cowbell.
I wanted more cowbell for sure.
You know what that is?
Oh, I totally know.
Oh,
Christopher
that's
Walken
awesome.
and Blue Oyster Cult.
We need
You
more
betcha.
cowbell.
We all need more cowbell.
Okay, so
And Patrick just posted a link to a song fitting the theme.
ooh,
So make sure you click that link.
yes.
Take you to YouTube.
And if you guys watch this offline, feel free to post questions too.
Yeah.
Scott will pay attention to this. I'll pay attention to this.